Ace and Tip. The property does have very expansive gardens and is home to some of the descendants of Ernest Hemingway's six-toed cats. Some of the books that Ernest Hemingway wrote or the Have and Have Not of Farewell to Arms. The Snows, Kilimanjaro. Sandy Cornish was one of the most respected men on the island. He bought his way out of slavery from Maryland. He's best known for growing a lot of plants and trees in Key West. Everyone else said would not grow. Headed the trail on the left, the white building. This is the Cornish Memorial AME Zion Church. And headed the train on the right-hand corner of the white building with the green trim. This is the Green Parrot Bar. It's one of the oldest bars in the Florida Keys. Really dates from 1890. At one time, it was a grocery store, an ice house, and also a morgue. Like you can still go in there, get a cold, stiff one. On the left is Jackson Square. It's named after military governor Andrew Jackson, who later became our president. Back of Jackson Square, the brick building, that is the Monroe County Courthouse. This building also dates from 1890. The courthouse is a large kapok tree. We used the seeds of the kapok tree to stuff life jackets before synthetic materials were invented. Also used those same seeds in voodoo rituals. Headed the trail on the right-hand corner once again. His mile marker 0. This is the beginning or the end of U.S. Highway 1. About once a month or so, that sign does seem to disappear somehow. I have no idea how they get it off there. But I guess if you had a 9/16 wrench, it wouldn't be a problem. In the 1950s, a lot of homes and buildings were being demolished here in Key West, so in 1961, the Old Island Restoration Foundation was formed. Foundation gave out awards to homes and buildings for the restoration job that was done to them. Headed the trail on the right, the white building next to the parking lot. It's house number 407. You look to the left of the front door, and above the numbered address, you'll see a circular disc with a star in the middle of it. That disc is an award that was given out to that home for the restoration job that was done to it. A lot of folks like to ask me how hot it gets here in Key West in the summer. Actually, what I know is it hotter here is on the mainland of Florida, since we are so far south. Actually cooler here because we get to trade winds. Average temperature here in Key West, only 79 degrees. Hottest ever was 97. Coolest was 41. This is for a frost-free city. Folks, last winter one night it went down to 52 degrees. You might not think that's very cold if you live up north. My house was built in 1923. So any heat, nor does it have any insulation. Roger, are you back there?
Yeah, I'm hiding under the umbrella.
You're like the Wizard of Oz when he's behind the curtain, you know?
Yeah, well, somebody has to hide. I was always told to hide in plain sight.
Hide in plain sight. I gotta think about that one. I'll let you know on the next tour.
Okay.
Everybody say hello to Roger.
Hey, Roger.
Hey, everybody.
Looks on the far right-hand corner of the white building. St. Paul's Episcopal Church. It's the oldest non-Roman Catholic church in the state of Florida. Actually, the fourth church structure built on that property. This particular building dates from 1912. Headed the trail on the right, the house with the purple shutters. This is the home of Dr. Joseph Otto. So reflects how modest style of Queen Anne architecture. porches wrap around, windows and doors directly above below each other. The far right-hand corner is a large Spanish laurel tree. Behind that tree is the Key West United Methodist Church, also known as the Old Stone Church. The original church structure was built entirely out of wood. They built a stone structure around it, and then disassembled the wooden structure, brought it out the front door. Not one church service was ever missed. Folks, we're now climbing to the highest peak on the island. This is Solaris Hill. Reach the top will be 16 feet above sea level. Anybody's ears popping? Nosebleeds? I didn't think so. We're now descending down the hill in case you couldn't tell where the top was. And headed the trail on the right behind the low white picket fence. This is the Octagon House in the 1980s. So belonged to clothing designer Calvin Klein. And here's something you don't see too much at Key West, folks, to the right of the train. This is a yard. Why a yard? We don't have too many here. House next to the yard, the beach house with the green shutters, that is the Bahama House. That house was actually built in the Bahamas. Partially disassembled, put on a barge, and reassembled here in Key West in 1847 by John Barton. Another variation of the classic revival architecture we have here in Key West is the Eyebrow House. Headed the trail on the right, it's building number 410, with the white picket fence and the hedge up above it. I slow down. If you look up underneath the roof line, you can see there's windows. The roof actually protects the windows from the sun. It helps to keep the house cool. The Eyebrow House is a Key West adventure. We have over 100 different eyebrow houses here in Key West. The homes in this area were built in the 1870s and the 1880s when Key West was enjoying enormous prosperity. Continued to enjoy that prosperity all the way until the 1930s, then the Great Depression. In 1933, the city went bankrupt. We had to return our charter back to the state. A city that was governed by a federal agency, where 80% of the population was on relief. Fed sent down Federal Relief Administrator Julius Stone to try and figure out what to do with our island. It was decided they were going to turn Key West into a tourist mecca. For grand opening in December of 1935. We had a little bad luck that year. On Labor Day of that year, a terrible hurricane struck the Upper Keys, wiped out about 8 miles of the Overseas Railroad. We later built the Overseas Highway on top of that railroad bed. That opened in 1939. Then during World War II, when a lot of the Navy returned back here to Key West, we did regain a lot of that prosperity, but never to reach the level it was back in the 1800s. Folks, during the Depression, people would eat birds that they could shoot, fish that they could catch, coconuts from the palm trees. One of the things that the ship's captains like to have built in their homes is an observation deck up on their roof. This way they can look out to sea. This deck is known as a captain's walk or a widow's walk. Headed the trail on the left, second property from the corner, a little beyond this yellow SUV. I slow down and you look very carefully between the palm trees. Way up there, see an example of the captain's or a widow's walk. That one was built in 1855 by John Lowe Jr. Are you folks retaining all this information?
Yeah.
Okay. If you look on the far right-hand corner, soon to be on your left, is the yellow building with the green trim. If you look up on that roof behind the train, see another example, the captain's or a widow's walk. One time that building was once the home to the oldest Jewish congregation in the state of Florida, B'nai Zion Synagogue. Folks, we have just turned on the Simonton Street. Simonton Street named after John Simonton. John Simonton purchased the island from Spanish Army officer Juan Pablo Salas. Officer Salas also sold the island to a number of other people. It took an act of Congress to find a side that John Simonton was the rightful owner. Folks, John Simon paid $2,000 for the entire island back in 1831. And folks, headed to trail on the left in front of the parking lot is a large Spanish lime tree. The tiny limes from that tree are very refreshing on a hot summer day. Trees on the right-hand side of the street, these are all West Indian mahogany trees. One time, Simonton Street was entirely lined with these trees. Folks, a lot of the plants and trees you see growing here in Key West today are not necessarily indigenous to Key West. Many of them are brought here from all over the world by ships' captains. Hemingway first arrived on the island in 1928 expecting delivery of a brand new car. The delivery of that car was delayed around 7 weeks. So the car dealer put Mr. Hemingway and his wife Pauline up in an apartment. Near the tree on the left, the tan building with the brown porches. This is Casa Antigua. Ernest Hemingway stayed while he was awaiting the delivery of his new car. Also where he finished writing the book, Farewell to Arms. The building to the right of the train is the federal courthouse. It was built out of fossilized limestone that was quarried in Islamorada, about 80 miles north of here. Folks, headed to the trail on the right, you'll see a big brick building. This was once the home of William Perry and Sons Tobacco Warehouse. A few buildings that actually did survive the Great Fire of 1886, probably because it was built out of brick. Folks, this building was built back in 1877 in the late 1800s and the early 1900s, where they stored some of the richest tobacco coming from the island of Cuba. And folks, headed to trail on the right-hand corner of the building with the green trim. This is the bottling court, early 1900s. Coca-Cola was bottling Coke here. Used rainwater that was stored in a cistern. Folks, during the dry spells when it didn't rain a lot, there wasn't a whole lot of water left in the cistern. They had to stop bottling Coke for a little while.
If you're catching the next flight out, fine. Leave. Just remember to stay in your seat until the rig comes to a complete stop. Hold on to the handrails if you got it. Sweetheart, watch your step. You need help? Just whistle.
Folks, we're now approaching our station. We'll take a short 7-minute break. When you return from the break, please take the same seats that you are now. This will avoid any confusion and contusions. And then a break, I'll call you back to the train. It is Engineer Tommy on train number 105. This is a reporting call for the continuation of your tour. So to have a few more things I'd like to show you. I do think it is the best part of the tour. I have Naval Street, the historic seaport, Bahama Village, Key West Cemetery. It's at our station. We have rest facilities, a gift shop, and